Hello chess friends and welcome to the new series of game analysis from European Championship in Skopje. Here is the game from the round 1. This is one of the most exciting games played in the round 1 and it's played between the super grandmaster Rauf Mamedov from Azerbaijan and the very young international master Paulius Pultinevicius from Lithuania. Here is the moves. Knight f3, knight f6, g3, g6, b3. So here Rauf wants to play double fianchetto, and after bishop g7, bishop b2, castle, and bishop to g2. So he's playing double fianchetto line. So he put bishops on the very good diagonals, bishop on g2 and this one on the b2, d6, d4, and c5, castle, and c takes d4, knight takes d4. After that d5 was played, c4, trying to open the light diagonal from h1 to a8 for his bishop, and after d takes, b takes on c4, queen to b6, very good square for a queen because queen's making pressure on the knight and also preparing rook to d8, which will control the d file. So queen c1 defends the bishop, which was hanging here on the square b2. So knight c6 was played. After knight takes c6, of course b takes, and knight d2, developing move, try to develop knight on the b3, and after that jump somewhere like d4. And rook d8 was played. Knight b3, a5, e3, a4. Attacks the knight, knight goes to d4 square, and after that bishop d7, rook to b1, put the rook on the open file, queen to d7, and bishop to a1. This is a strategy move. Moving the bishop in a corner will open the b file. So e5 was played, knight to f3, so this pawn is hanging right now. He's attacking 2 times from the knight and the bishop. So rook e8, defense pawn, c5. So after that move c5, white wants to lock the pawn on the c6 square, so he can use his light colored bishop on the square g2 to make a pressure using the diagonal. So bishop f5, trying to activate that bishop, and after rook b4, rook a5 was played, and queen a3, threat to take the pawn on square a4. In knight d7, once again increase the pressure on the pawn on c5 square. So rook takes a4, and after rook a8, rook takes a5, rook takes a5. So queen's under attack, and this pawn is also hanging. So queen b4 was played. After rook takes pawn on a2 square. So knight g5. And this is a good maneuver for a knight. So transposing a knight from f3 square to e4 will result with a good position of the knight. So that looks like a very good maneuver. But after queen a7, he's unable to go with his knight on e4. First of all, because bishop on a1 is hanging, and also after knight goes to e4, he can play rook to a4, and that will increase the pressure on the knight. So first bishop c3, and after h6 he's unable to move the knight on the square e4 because of the rook a4. So knight retreat on the f3, rook a4, attacks the queen, queen goes to b2, create a strong attack using the dark diagonal. So he's attacking the pawn on e5 right now, but queen takes c5, he took the pawn on c5 and defended his own pawn on the square e5. Rook to c1, threat to open the c file with the bishop takes on e5 move. So queen b5 was played, and queen d2. After that bishop goes to e6, probably preparing for something like f5. That makes sense in this position. So queen to d1, rook a2, knight to d2, trying to transpose the knight here once again, but bishop d5, and after that bishop to f1. White is not interested to trade the bishops on the square d5 because that will create a very strong center. So for example, if the bishop takes, pawn takes, that's very strong center for black. So instead of that, he goes with the bishop on f1, and here black offered queens for trade, queen a4. After that e4 was played, bishop e3 on e6 square, queen to e1, and bishop f8. It's time to include this dark colored bishop. Bishop d3, queen a7. He's looking for some strong attack on f2 square in the future, so he can use the diagonal from a7 to f2, and after he moved the bishop on c5, that will increase the pressure on f2. So bishop to b1 attacks the rook, and rook goes to a4, and bishop c2 once again attacks the rook a3, and then knight to f3 because the bishop on c4 was hanging. So with this move, knight f3, he defends the bishop on the c3 and also trying to create attack on the e5. So knight f3, bishop to c5, and bishop to d1, rook a2. He's attacking 3 times on the f2 square, rook to c2. After that, rook takes c2, bishop takes c2, and then f6. So now pawn on e5 is very well defended. So king d2 was played, and after that g5. He's looking for some good moment to push g4, if that can result with some good thing for black. So h4, and after that knight b6, bishop to b4, offer bishop for trade, queen to e7, bishop takes on c5, queen takes c5, and this one is hanging on c2. So queen to d1, also threat to go with the queen on square d8 to give a check on the king, and also attack the pawn on f6. So that can result with the bad things, and because of that, Paulius goes with the king to g7. So bishop b3, offer bishop for trade, bishop to g4, attacks the knight, so queen d3, and after that bishop takes on f3, and king takes f3. Basically, it's a good idea for black to trade the bishop for a knight, but only in the case if he can transpose the knight on the square d4. So after bishop takes f3, queen takes on f3, and if black can transpose the knight on a d4, that would be very nice, but it's a very long wait for that, so he needs to play at least 4 moves. So one of the ways to go with the knight a8, c7, and after that b5 to go on d4, because on the square d4 that knight is untouchable, because this bishop from the b3 cannot attack a knight on dark square. So here we have queen to d4, queen to g4, queen to d7, offer queens for trade, and then bishop to e6. Here Rauf recognized a good moment for bishop moves, and he goes first with the bishop on e6 with the idea to go on f5, and he wants to use the light squares around the black king and try to threat some checks. So queen e7 was played, and after h takes g5, h takes g5, bishop to f5. So after this trading of the h pawn, so white can use the h file for some attack on the square h7 or g6, but let's see c5, queen to h5, try to give a check here on h7, so king to g8. After that, queen give a check on g6, king goes to f8, queen goes back to h5, so they repeat the moves, king goes to g8, queen once again give a check, king f8, and after queen h6 it's a check, queen blocked the check on g7, and here Rauf decided to go back with his queen, so queen to h1, he can use his queen on the other side, c4 was played, and bishop to e6, king to e8, queen to d1. So right now he threat some checks on h file, and also he can go with his queen on d6, which can be very annoying. So queen to b7, attack this pawn on the e4, and queen give a check on h5, king to d8, queen g6 attacks the pawn on f6, so queen wants to take it, and also queen can give a check on g8, so queen e7 to defend. But it's a good moment for white to get into material balance, so he can take this pawn on c4, and that already happened in the game. If the knight takes, then queen give a check, and after king goes on c7 or d7, or also he can block that with his queen on that square on the e8, so white will take the knight on c4, so that will be material balance. And after bishop takes pawn, he played king c7 and bishop to b5. We have queen, knight to c8, and after that queen goes to g8, knight d6 was played, and queen d5, tried to give a check on c6, and knight takes the bishop, queen takes bishop, and queen e6. So right now this is an equal endgame with the queens and 3 pawns on both sides, so that will definitely result with a draw. But here white start to complicate things. So after queen takes b5, queen e6 was played, and after king goes to f3, he goes with the g4. It's a check, and the best move for the white is to go back on g2 and try to stay safe on square g2 or king e2. But he played the worst move here, and that's to move king e3. That is the one of the biggest mistake, and we can call it a blunder, because right now black is able to trade the queens and fell into completely winning endgame. So he recognized that, and he goes with the queen on b6. After that, queen takes b6 and king takes b6. So white cannot take control over the squares on the c file. So if you try to go with his queen on a d3, black is quick enough to pass with his king. So here he played f3, and after king to b5, f takes g4, and after king c4, king e2 was played. So if you try to stay on f3, for example, then king goes to d3, and he can take the pawn on e4 in the next move. So after king e2, he goes with the king d4, and king f2, king takes e4, king e2, and we have king to d4, king d2, and then e4. He wants to push the pawn down, so king e2 and e3. After that, king to d1 was played, and here one brilliant move by Paulius. So he recognized that his king is not in opposition with the opponent, so he goes with the king on a d5. That's the winning move. So king e1, and then king to e5, try to stay in the opposition. After king to d1, he goes king d4, and right now king e1, king d3, we have king to d1, e2, and it's king e1, king e3, but it's not stalemate because white can go with his pawns up. But in this position he resigned, because after a few moves, let's see this one, g5, he will take that, and after the move g4, just move the king on the side on d3 or f3, so that will result with the wins, because king f3, for example, king to d2, and then king f2 with promoting the queen on the square e1. So that was the most surprising game from the round 1, and we will cover more games from the other rounds. I hope you enjoyed in this video, and see you in the next game analysis. Bye bye.